So let's start by talking about map design and all of the things that go into that. Central to the map design is the objective, what you're trying to achieve with the map that you're designing. Once you've decided on an objective, then you can select certain things to put on your map. You may arrange them in certain ways. You have choices about how to symbolize those, bigger symbols, smaller symbols, symbols of different colors, all those sorts of things. Then you should take a look at your map, see how it looks, and inevitably you'll want to make some edits, whether that's based on mistakes or just looking at and thinking about how it could look better to the user. But all of these, in each of these considerations, you should think back to the objective of your map, what you're trying to do with your map. So the map objective is the first important thing that you need to determine when you're designing a map. And the key questions are kind of listed here. What is the purpose of the map? Who is your intended audience? Who are you trying to persuade with this map? What sort of medium are you using? Is this going to be an electronic map or a digital map? Or is it going to be a paper map? And under what conditions will it be viewed? Do you think it'll be viewed in someone's office or in a meeting or outside? So the map can serve many different purposes. Any particular map can. For example, you might just be interested in locating positions on the surface of the earth, such as Google Maps does. If you're trying to get from one place to another, you might be using some sort of navigation app, or you might be using a road atlas. Sometimes maps are very specific for a specific audience, such as geologic maps that have very particular data on them. Sometimes you're just trying to convince a reader of something, such as there's a high population density in certain areas, and in that way you can highlight that on a map. You can also compare different times or different locations by making one map or more than one map. And you can analyze data to learn new information or any number of other purposes you might have for the map that you're making. Key to this is going to be your audience. Who will be looking at the map and what are you trying to help them to understand by looking at the map? Part of that is what their expected level of knowledge is. If you put a star on the map, for example, will they know that that might be meant to represent a state capital? And this has to do with all different sorts of subject matters. Some symbols get very specific. Once again, like for geologic maps, there are very specific symbols to indicate different types of faults and folds. But also this applies to maps in general. And then sometimes we have special requirements for maps, such as it has to be able to be interpreted by someone who's colorblind, or it might just be someone who needs help seeing the map by putting things into larger print. So in all these things, you really have to consider who your audience is for the map and how you hope they will use it. Another really important consideration when you first design the map is the medium of the map. And by the medium of the map, we mean what is the map on? Is it being displayed on a piece of paper? And if so, is that going to be a small little map in a 8.5 by 11 report? Is it going to be a map that covers an entire wall? Or is it going to be a poster that you send to someone? You know, that's really going to, you'll want to think, for example, about the resolution of your data, depending on what the final medium and size of your map is going to be. But oftentimes we're just making electronic files as maps. This could be a PDF, or it could be some sort of image like a JPEG or a PNG file. In that case, you have to think about what format, what file size, and how you're going to deliver it. For example, for this class, I often ask you to put out maps at least 300 dots per inch resolution and then upload those to our course management system. If you're designing for something that's going to be viewed on the computer, do you expect the person looking on the computer to have a full-size desktop monitor, or is this something that they're going to view on their smartphone? It really is going to make a difference as far as how the user interacts with the map and what the user is able to get out of the map. And you should also think about if you're using a projection screen like a mobile device or tablet or smartphone, how visible do things need to be on that map? If they're trying to navigate somewhere with your map and they're outdoors, will they be able to see all the detail on your map even in bright sunlight? So some specific considerations when you design a map. The paper map, it's static and unchanging. Nothing changes on that paper map once it's printed. It's a fixed size and it has a fixed scale associated with it. Typically, paper maps are high resolution because that's all you get. It's your one chance to display the map. but they may be complex with many levels of information, so that there might be an overall road network on the map, but then there might be smaller symbols representing where certain places that people visit are located on the map. When you make a paper map, if someone's looking at it, they're probably pretty committed to looking at it. They've pulled it out of their backpack, they've spread it out, they've unfolded it, and this is the one thing they're interacting with at the time. But that said, it can serve multiple purposes. It can show them where they're going, it can tell them how far someplace is, it can do all sorts of different things. With a web map, it's a completely different ballgame. It's interactive. The viewing size may change depending if someone's displaying it once again on their smartphone or on their office computer. Poor light or sunlight on a mobile device can really affect what people are able to see with it. And you might just get someone that has a much shorter attention span when they look at their map. They might be scanning through, lots of different web pages, come across your map and only take a few seconds to look at it. So your map is competing for attention with a lot of other products out there on the internet. So the key there is, right, if you're making an internet map, it's often important to just show one thing very clearly, because that person might not be as focused on it as they would be